Welcome to the family. Your presence is welcome. If you want to skip ahead, I'll put a timestamp down there so you can get to the good stuff. For this first video though, I wanted to just kind of state what I am trying to accomplish here. I want to make quick videos about a specific issue that I have in the game. I don't like to go on videos where I'm looking for something and I have to scan through like 20 minutes of a bunch of tips and I forget where it is and everything. I'm going to clearly label all these videos so that when you look it up, if you see, okay, this mechanic of this skill, why isn't it working? How does it work? When you click on the video, it'll get right to it. They obviously won't have this long of an intro. This is the first one, so I just kind of wanted to explain what the series is about, and I'll upload as many of these as I can. But first, let's get into it today. I'm going to show you a build that is just very simple to use, and you can start right out of the gate with it, and then, you know, it'll progress through end game, and I'll just show you all the good parts of it. Let's get into it. We're starting off here with the Sorceress. We're going to be looking for the skills Ember Fusillade and Orb of Storms. If I pronounce Fusillade wrong, correct me on that. And then what we're basically looking at in the beginning of the game, you're going to get Spark. You use that, get Frost Bomb and Flame Wall. I would say Flame Wall first, shoot the sparks through Flame Wall, do damage. Awesome. Then when you get up another couple levels, you will get Orb of Storms, start using that as well. These all, you know, Frost Bomb, Flame Wall, Orb of Storms, you know, just use it all. And it gives you infusions, makes your spark do more damage. Now, when you get to level 14, you can start looking for the level 5 skill gems. This is where you're going to get the Ember. Once you get Ember, we're going to utilize that in Orb of Storms only. And let me just kind of show you how this works, and I'll explain a little bit more about like progression with it. Okay, so we're just going along, and you basically, the gist of it is you're throwing up an orb, you're casting the embers, and then you're shooting them. So basically, Orb of Storms, it shoots 6 times, and then it leaves an infusion. With this, it takes a while, so it doesn't feel very good, but every time you cast, it shoots again. So when it shoots 6 times, it disappears and leaves the infusion. So if you notice, if I'm casting inside of it, it goes away a lot quicker. So that's the basic gist of it. When we're going through it, you basically cast, build up, absorb, and launch. Cast, build up, absorb, and launch. A little bit better of flow of this is cast, absorb, cast as soon as the first one's gone. And this is basically going to bridge the gap of your damage, because if you just do the embers, obviously this whole time you're not hitting anything. I can show this here. This guy's here, and now I'm just taking a bunch of damage and I'm not doing anything, and then I gotta backtrack and like that. But if the good thing about the Orb of Storms is, see, it kills stuff while you're waiting for your embers to get up, and you can just get in a good flow. You do this, you're hitting them with that, you do that. Immediately, as soon as the one's gone, you pass another one, the embers shoot, you're hitting with that, hitting with the orb, and you can kind of just keep going. Now moving on to the support gems. The basic thing in the beginning, when you get these, you're not going to be too worried, the build will work anyways. But the one thing that I would suggest at first is compressed duration. This is a level 2 one you get later, but the first one's 30%, this is 35, it's just a little bit better. And this is basically just changing the amount of time for these to shoot. It's not much of a difference, but it makes it flow a lot better. So that takes a little bit of time, and you put this on, it takes a little less time. That's it. And you can also put like Pierce on that as well, or something like that. Eventually you can get like lightning and fire penetration, basically, because yeah, you're infusing the embers with lightning and they do fire damage, so you know, just doing more damage there. That's for later on. Also Orb of Storms, again, it works as is. You can add stuff like rapid casting. Again, these both cast really fast, so if you can find something else you like. I don't like some things that lower the damage of it, so I just throw that on there. But and like Arcane Surge, keep your mana up. but probably in the beginning, there's another good thing you can use is overabundance. It gives you an extra one that you can use, so I'll show you here. So like in the beginning, before you get like some of your gear up and stuff, survivability is a little harder. You can't really run in there. It just gives you 2 separate ones, so you can just get a little more coverage. It helps with clearing and everything. It's just I found later that the flow of it I didn't like as much, but yeah, you see you can cover more area, hits more things. The Orb of Storms will kill a lot of stuff itself, so that's another kind of early game. And then I kind of just went to the Arcane Surge, just keep up my mana, and so I basically just, you know, I can keep a good flow. I'm not quite getting the full 8 that I can get of embers, but as I was going through it, this felt a little more natural, where I was doing consistent damage. I was waiting less time for the embers to shoot, and it just felt good. Plus with bosses, I felt more mobile. I wasn't just sitting there like, you know, stack up 2 orbs and then sit in it till I got 8 you know, embers. And like sometimes it's just like you got to dodge an attack, and then, oh well, I didn't get all 8 of my embers and I only hit with, so I just, you know, casting 2 of these doesn't take that long, but you know, it could get you an extra couple embers, and if you're just kind of running from a boss, it could give you those extra hits. So that's where I'm at with it, but that's kind of the progression of it. So that, again, any of those options are fine. It's mainly this skill is just, yeah, it just does a lot of damage. Some of the passives are, you know, when I get it infused, it's upping my damage. So good damage there. All right, so now we're going to move on to, I guess, the gear next. So gear, we're basically looking at just, it's very simple for the gear. Just basically you want spell damage, elemental damage, you want all the skills, if you can get any of this stuff. Again, just try and get a staff with decent spell damage, and, you know, cast speed isn't huge. Cast speed makes it, basically just makes it feel better. Which is, you know, nice for flow state and stuff like that, but it's not completely necessary for killing things. It'll just, you know, it'll help you move quicker. The rest is like, yeah, all your armor, just get all your resistances up. You know, you want to get as close to 75 as you can. If you can get some amethyst rings, do that just to start working on your chaos. It will help you as you progress. There's not too much chaos in the beginning, but you want to start working on it if you're investing exalteds and stuff into your rings, just so you have some there. Eventually you're going to want to get that up, unless you're using some kind of passive. But again, this is just a basic build to get you through the beginning of the game. So again, weapon, spell damage, elemental damage, all the skills are, yeah, all the skills are all the spells, either one, like those are going to be the primary. They're going to get you a lot of damage. And then you want spell damage, then you can get like cold and lightning, all that stuff. And then again, armors, you just want resistances, life, and that, you know, energy shield, stuff for survivability. So just think of your armor, just all survivability. Weapon, you get some good damage. That's what you were looking for basically there. All right, and then now we're going to go to passives. Passives are pretty simple. You don't have to follow this exactly, but basically straight shot up the middle here, you're just looking damage, 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 just elemental damage, spell damage. You don't have to get this. This is just some more fire and lightning penetration, but I was just trying to find the closest things for damage without wasting as many of these, you know, interval points where it's just adding a little bit of stat that isn't adding damage. So armor, focus on defenses, weapon or passives, damage, and that's going to help you get through content. You know, you'll be relatively squishy if you're struggling with gear. You can suck into some recouped life and some different defensive layers, and, you know, respec them later once you get better gear. But for the most part, I just was, the only reason I spec'd into these is when I was waiting for enough points to like get over here to more elemental damage. Also, these ones, any of these nodes that have elemental infusion recently, that's 4 seconds after you get an infusion. So basically every time you're absorbing the Orb of Storms, that's getting you the infusion, which is increasing your damage, as you may have seen earlier in the video when it was actually ticking my damage up when I would shoot the embers. because it's when they actually shoot, it's absorbing it, and then you get, or you're consuming it at that point, and it gives you the extra damage, so you can get those. And then yeah, again, over this way, just more elemental damage. This isn't like a structured thing. If you find a different way you want to go with damage, or you have certain specific gear or unique you found, you know, you can vary that. I would just say in the very beginning, just go straight damage. I mean, at least get to like here, and then from there you can kind of, you know, pick what you want to do if your damage is lacking. Again, I'm going just like all damage because I want to kill stuff fast. My best defense is my offense, basically, type thing. Blast cannon, just kill stuff. It's soft core. If this was hardcore, you definitely wouldn't do this. Soft core, you die, you retry. You're just trying to get through it as quick as possible so you don't have to deal with the mechanics of these bosses so long. Okay, a quick overview of the build. You're going to get up to level 14 using Spark and Firewall and Ice Bomb and Orb of Storms. Once you get to 14, look for a level 5 skill gem. Get Ember, Fusillade. Once you get that, you're going to get Compressed Duration just to make it a little smoother. Then you get Orb of Storms. Any of these support gems will work. If you want a little more coverage, get Over Abundance. And then later on, you get Mana Remnants, Elemental Weakness, just to help the build a little bit. Then on your gear, you're basically, on your armor, all that stuff, you want all your resistances as high as you can go. You want life, you want, you know, mana on hit, life on hit, just survivable stuff. Anything to help you survive. Resistances are huge on your gear, so really try and go for resistances first and foremost, and then go for, you know, more spirit shield or energy shield, and, you know, things of that nature, life, all that stuff, all that good stuff. And then when you're going through your passive, you're just very simple right in the beginning, just go straight up the middle, or straight up this left side here, down the middle of the left side, however you want to say it, and you're just getting all elemental and spell damage. And then you're also grabbing these things to increase your damage when you have recently grabbed an elemental infusion. So you're grabbing those, get all this good stuff damage. You can get some, you know, fire and lightning penetration. Again, this is fire and lightning infused, so those are the damages you're dealing with. So overall, that's basically what the build's going for. Simple, easy build. Hopefully it helps you. I'm going to continue playing this build. I'll see how it scales all the way through mapping and stuff like that. But this may be just to get you to maps, and then maybe you switch to something else. But yeah, let me know what you think about it. If you want to see a further video on it, the next video I'm probably going to try and focus on something more specific. Again, each of these videos, I don't want to get too in depth with any one thing. I just want to make a point on the one thing that you're looking at. So this one was a little bit longer, the other ones might not be. This one was just, what do I start? I always start a build in like, yeah, it feels great at first, and then it just kind of like, I get to Act 3 and I'm just getting destroyed. This build, this is where I got from that. Like, I started with Spark, wasn't really doing it for me. I was running into that issue, just felt really long boss fights and just getting fatigued. And then I, you know, found a unique item. It had the Ember Fusillade on it, and basically found it that way, kind of by accident. And yeah, I made this, and it just does good damage. It helps me with my mobility in boss fights where I don't have to focus on it constantly casting. I mean, you are constantly casting stuff, but like, as long as you're keeping your Orb of Storms up when you can, and, you know, casting the embers, it will do damage. The one key thing with it is the embers, you do have to kind of get used to aiming them, so always be like hovering over your target. Even when you're doing the Orb of Storms just goes out in front of you, so just, yeah, kind of stay on your target. But I mean, I didn't think to mention that earlier because it is kind of like, you know, should be common sense, but even I was screwing it up in the beginning. So whatever, try it out, let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.